Welcome to The Devil Wears SPF with Diane Brennan and Carolyn Haas. Your backstage pass to beauty, brains, and bold-ass choices.
Well, welcome, everybody. I'm Diane Brennan, my host, Carolyn Haas. Hello.
Hi.
So we've had a masterclass on skincare. We've always talked about topicals, things you can put on, but the most important, I think, is what you put inside your body to help your skincare. And joining us today is Burgess Buchanan, board-certified nurse practitioner and founder of Origo Functional Medicine. She joins us. Hi, Burgess.
Hi, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
And congratulations, you are newly married.
I am. Yeah, well, we actually eloped in September. So I sort of count that, but this was our real big celebration, having our families come together the end of March. We did it here in North Carolina, and it was just such a beautiful, intimate evening. It couldn't have gone better.
Saw some of the pictures, and it was absolutely, you're a stunning bride. It looked like a beautiful wedding. So love that.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Let's talk about how important is diet and supplements when it comes to skincare. First of all, tell us how you got to be a nurse practitioner and then get into your own functional medicine practice. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, thanks for asking, Diane. So I entered the medical field quite a while ago. I was a nurse for over 10 years, and then I went and got my master's and became a nurse practitioner. I was working full time in the hospital setting, primarily in the ICU, focusing on neurology and neurosurgery. And during that time, I was dealing with a lot of my own health issues. And I, like many women, were circling the system. So going from doctor to doctor, trying to get answers to my symptoms. And I just found myself so frustrated and spending a ton of money and just being left with all these unanswered questions. And meanwhile, trying to get my own relief, finding methods, with the internet. So I was actually diagnosed with endometriosis in 2019. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's very common. So actually 1 in 10 women have it, maybe more, probably because it's so underdiagnosed. But it's basically when the endometrial tissue is growing outside of where it's supposed to be. So it's like, it can latch onto the gut, it can go up to the lungs. And meanwhile, it's creating this systemic inflammation all throughout your body. So women can have, painful periods, irregular cycles, problems with infertility. So I was diagnosed fortunately right away, but for most women, it takes 7 years.
Wow.
So once I entered that world, I really started to look at what I could do for myself, because the options I was given were go on birth control, have surgery, um, have your uterus removed, so hysterectomy. And this is being offered to women in their 20s and 30s, which is insane. And go on this medication that suppresses your estrogen and basically puts you in menopause. So I went along with what people were telling me to do, but I really began to ask questions and look at what else I could be doing for my body. So I found out this is an estrogen dominant condition. You have too much estrogen in your body. So then I really started looking at my diet. And then during all this, I was diagnosed with celiac disease. So I had all these gut issues. My skin was horrible. I was getting these massive breakouts, like all over my face. And I was miserable. I felt miserable. I looked miserable. My skin was dull. My hair was thin. And I would really say that cleaning up my diet and really focusing on, not just what I'm putting on my skin, but in my body, that was pivotal. I mean, by 3 months, I was feeling better. By 6 months, marked difference. By a year, I was a new human. So fast forward to where I am now, my husband and I are, we want to start trying to have a family, later this year. So it's something I take really seriously. And I realize there's such a need for women. Unfortunately, in the medical field, there's a lot of focus on men. The studies are predominantly around men. And there's women who are struggling like I was. And so I left the healthcare system in the hospital. I went back to school for functional medicine. And I opened up my own practice, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to treat women. And I have a heart for women who are circling the system like I was, so that's what I'm doing. I have a telemedicine practice. I'm licensed in Arizona and Hawaii, and then I offer health coaching to all 50 states.
Love it. I know. I mean, what do men suffer from? Erectile dysfunction, and they came up with a pill pretty quickly, didn't they? And for
And just a
us,
pretty color.
There's always a reason.
yeah. And that's what I love about functional medicine. So Western medicine always kind of treats the symptoms, right? And functional medicine gets to the root of the problem. So I absolutely love functional medicine. Let's talk skincare. What are some of the mistakes that you see, biggest mistakes you see women doing, first of all?
So this is one that I'm really passionate about. And this is something, again, when I said I was just not informed back in the day. Unfortunately, here in the States, we are so lenient with our product, not just our food, but the things that are in our skincare, that are in our makeup, shampoo, conditioner, everything. So I'll give you an example. In the UK, they have a database called the CMR. So it's carcinogenic, mutagenic, reproductive. And if anything has an ingredient in there that affects your genes, your hormones, your reproductive health, then it's banned. So they have over 2,000 ingredients that are banned there. Here in the States, last I checked in December, we had 25. So unfortunately, there are no regulations here in the States that say these products have to go through safety testing before they go on the shelf, which is just absolutely insane, right?
Canada's a lot more stringent where Carolyn's from. Canada's a lot better than the US
Or is
when it
that
comes
right?
to, the ingredients.
Hopefully we
Yeah.
get there someday. But what is so tough is when I see women that are trying to, get their skin looking healthy and they're trying to feel good and they're trying to balance their hormones, and then they're just putting all this toxic stuff on their face. And I say that not to shame them or anything like that. It's just we just don't know. And unfortunately, with social media and the internet, things are pushed out there like they're good for you, right? They'll say like, oh, all natural ingredients, but really by definition, all natural doesn't mean anything. So something I like to use, it's called the EWG. It's the Environmental Working Group. It's a database where you can type in your products and it'll give it a grade. So it'll say, okay, based on the research, how does this fare with cancer? How does this fare with hormones and reproduction? So it's really something I like to utilize because there's so many products out there, right? It's like
Oh, we're bombarded.
it's impossible to keep track of them all. But
Mhm.
the biggest mistake I would say is that women are continuously putting toxic things on their face. I will sit here and say that I am not perfect by any means, but if you can reduce your toxins in your skincare by 50%, like I have a product that I love. It's sunscreen and it also has like a tinted component in it. It's not great, but I love it so much. So I'm good maybe 75% of the time with my skincare. And then that's something where I'm like, yeah, it is what it is. So if you can reduce it, come up with that number in your head, like 50% of my products are going to be clean and 50% are just going to be ones that, make me feel good and make me look good. You know,
So you can use the app. You can use the app to find out what's clean and what's not, because a lot of people don't understand what the parabens and these names are unfamiliar even to recognize what's in the ingredients.
It's terribly overwhelming. There's all these terms, and rather than trying to memorize what everything is and what everything does, this app sort of just does it all for you, and it's free. So you just type in your product. If it doesn't score great, you have the alternative to search other products in there. I have some of my products that are go-to. I'm not sponsored by anybody. I don't get paid by anybody to feature products, but like I love like this Kypris brand. This is really good. You can get it online. This is a fantastic serum. I use this. I love the Honest Company. So like I use their eye care, and then Olivita is a really good one. I have that as well. I'm a self tanner girl, so I love
Me too,
this one. I don't know if you
because I
can
have no
see it.
pigment in my body.
It's salty face, and it is so clean. I realized the tanner I loved, it was so toxic, and I was putting it on myself like every day. So this one is really great. It's super clean. It tells you everything that's in it, and it gives you a good tan.
Good. Okay.
I've
We'll
heard of
write
that
those
one
down in the
too.
notes too. So,
Yeah.
but just so I get the app correct, it's EWG and that's how you download it. You just search for
Yeah.
EWG.
Yep.
Super. That's great advice. Talk about what you put in your body. What are some of the mistakes that women, biggest mistakes? What should we just cut out?
Oh my goodness. If I had to choose one thing that is
Please don't say donuts.
Yes, it's donuts. Sugar is evil, people.
processed sugar. So when I say sugar, people are like, oh my gosh, I love my fruit. Can I not eat my fruit? Please eat as much fruit as you want. But processed sugar, that is what's wreaking havoc on your body. And processed sugar, actually, what it does is it latches on to collagen, and it basically prevents collagen from working optimally. So if you have excess sugar circulating around your body, it's going to find places to go. And unfortunately, with our standard American diet, which by the way, this is called the SAD diet, the abbreviation. I don't know if you've heard that, Carolyn, like being in another country, but people refer.
I have heard reference to it. Yeah.
She's had
Yeah.
the sad diet herself when she's
I have
visited.
had it a few. Yes.
Same. I mean, eating frozen pizzas and, the bagel bites, and I'm not, top ramen. But unfortunately, over time, that starts to show up in various ways. So not just with your gut, with your mood, but it's going to start to show surface on your skin as well.
Absolutely. And these are the things that people don't necessarily realize that there's a complete connection between all of these systems in our body, and with our skin being an organ, all of these things are going to show through when we start to use them, whether we're ingesting them or putting them on topically. And I think that's the common thought, is that we might recognize, oh, I shouldn't put this on my face because I'll break out. It's a tactile thing. It's something that layers on our skin. But as you're talking about it too, it's what we're ingesting and what we're putting into our system and the health of our gut that also comes through and shows itself on the skin. So it's really an important aspect of our beauty and our skincare.
Yeah.
Let's talk about gut health too, how important gut health is for your skin.
Yeah, this is something that oftentimes can be missed in conventional medicine. So it's really difficult to test for gut health in conventional medicine. There's a few markers that you can do with your blood test, but they don't run typically stool tests. So in functional medicine, I have my patients send in their poop to a lab and they look at it.
Can I ask you how they send it?
FedEx. I pooped in a French fry cup myself, and you just send
FedEx.
it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You get a kit sent to your home. You poop in this little kit and you send it back in the mail, and they analyze it. So it's really neat because they look at the DNA components of various pathogens and parasites and yeast and bacteria. So it's something that is often missed, inflammation in the gut, because you don't even necessarily have to have gut symptoms, but you could have, yeast overgrowth or overgrowth of even your like what's typically good bacteria that's starting to now, take over and cause problems and cause symptoms. So it's something that you want to be mindful of how your gut is doing, because it's not just going to show up, like I said, with gut symptoms, right? So that's something that's really important. I probably run that test on almost every single one of my patients that come in, because the gut, as you said, it's responsible for so much, right? And
So much.
actually, your dopamine and serotonin are produced in your gut, so that kind of makes sense when this is not right. How we just, we can have anxiety and just overall feel crummy and have brain fog because of what's going on.
We have a podcast drink, and it's apple cider vinegar.
Yes.
Did you watch
Cheers.
that documentary?
I haven't yet.
I did. Yes.
Oh.
Called apple cider vinegar. Yeah. But so cheers. And how good is apple cider vinegar? That's, Carolyn teases me because I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this. And she's like, well, why? I'm like, I don't know. They just said it was good for me.
So
Somebody told me.
yeah,
Mm.
I would say in some cases it is good. It depends on what's going on. You know, too much of a good thing can eventually be a bad thing, right? So I would say it's, you know, if you're not noticing any adverse effects or, you know, having digestive issues as a result, it's probably fine. Are you drinking it straight or are you diluting it?
No, it's diluted. I'm not burning
Okay.
my esophagus out.
With
It's
Okay.
water.
diluted, but I
Yeah.
feel so
Okay.
good after I drink it. I don't
Yeah.
know if it's psychosomatic or I think I'm doing something good for my body, but I just, I don't know. I like how I feel. And Carolyn started it too. So it's now
Yeah.
our
So
official drink.
as much as I say that Diane is trying anything because somebody just happens to mention it to her, I'm even worse because I'm doing it because somebody mentioned it to her and she mentioned it
So
to me.
now it's that, yeah, domino effect.
Yeah.
Well, if
Yeah.
you want to
And
add one more thing, aloe vera juice is fantastic for your gut and it's also
Oh.
really good for your skin. I buy a huge jug and I keep it in my fridge. And first thing in the morning on an empty stomach, I'll take some swigs and just let it, you know,
Mm.
coat everything all the way down. And then at the end of the day, I do the same thing.
And does it have to be, is it in a concentrate and do you then add water or is it something that you just purchase and you can drink right
Yeah,
straight
just
like that?
straight. Yeah. Yeah.
and it doesn't have a taste at
It
all,
has
like a
a
strong
little
taste
bit
at
of,
all.
this one has lemon in it, so it has a little bit of a taste, but it's not bad.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. And then with the apple cider vinegar, we just drink it. We just have one glass a day.
I
Yeah.
like that. You know,
Yeah.
it's better than drinking like straight up alcohol. And
Well, we mix vodka with it. Don't get me wrong. Let's not get crazy. Just
She left
kidding.
some of the ingredients out, but
All right. And what carbs and stuff are they? How do you feel about are vegetables and fruit the best thing? How is protein? What should we be our diet consist of to have the most
yeah, good
optimal skin?
question. So, unfortunately, most Americans are very deficient in basic nutrients, so micronutrients specifically. The advice I give to people is you want to have a diet that is so rich in color. So, every day that you're eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, try to think how many colors can I add to my plate? Because really, that is what is so crucial for longevity, for cancer prevention. Cancer rates are going up, and they're going up in women. So the implementation of it's called phytonutrients. So think of, you know, colorful fruits and vegetables. That is really, really crucial for prevention. And there's data to support that as well. Vitamin C specifically. I know we're going to talk about collagen today, but vitamin C, adding that to your diet. I I typically like to recommend implementing that with your diet. So, not necessarily supplementing with a pill, but saying, okay, how can I increase this in my meals? So, typically the recommendation for women is 75 milligrams a day. But I mean, you can go, vitamin C is something like, rarely are you going to overdose on vitamin C. I mean,
Okay, it doesn't have any bad side effects or anything.
well, certainly with anything, if it gets to be, you know, too high, excessive, but vitamin C is one of those. I mean, you can take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C typically and not have an issue and just do that for maintenance. Um,
Okay.
but things that have vitamin C, I mean, citrus, like an orange has, I think, 51 milligrams. So right there, you have 51 out of your 75. That's recommended. Broccoli, cauliflower, those are fantastic too because those are really great with helping with metabolism of your hormones.
oh,
So
okay.
With
women
the
that have
fiber.
hormone imbalance, it's really helping that liver jumpstart and process those through. And so the fact that they have vitamin C as well is fantastic. But yeah, I would say avoiding the processed foods. So like I said, avoiding processed sugar. Um, some people really have a problem with dairy and they don't realize it. So again, going back to the gut stuff, they may say, "Yeah, I don't. My gut feels fine when I have dairy," but their skin, they're breaking out. And that's because dairy is naturally inflammatory to everybody. So even if you don't have an intolerance, it is creating a, you know, some degree of inflammation in your body. That was the case for me. I mean, I was having the gut issues, but my skin cleared up right when I took out dairy. And I was able to reintroduce it back in. It was just I was allowing that inflammation in my body to come down. And then when I brought it back, I was okay. Uh,
Oh, okay. So it might be just kind of too much of it. And it doesn't mean if you stop it that you'll have to quit dairy forever. It's just a
Right.
matter of,
Not necessarily. Sometimes your body just needs a break where it's just like spinning. It's like a car that's old and it's like running too hard. Sometimes you need to remove things, let the inflammation come down, and then reintroduce it back in. So,
So
Mhm.
so that's really akin, I guess, to an allergy or an allergic reaction to certain foods too. But it's not with that. Is there a difference between something that you've just grown an intolerance for, I guess, because you're having too much and you need to let your body sort of flush it, to any reactions that people might start having where they get hives or they get breakouts from an allergic thing that suddenly starts to happen?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference. So, like a true allergy is when your body has formed antibodies against something that it recognizes as a threat, right? And then there's intolerances, and then there's situations like I just described where you have, other things going on, maybe with autoimmune or your inflammation is just high in your body and your body is rejecting foods that it should not be rejecting.
Right.
So,
What are
yeah,
your thoughts? Sorry, and what are your thoughts about then doing cleanses for your skin?
yeah. So cleansing or detoxing in general is such a hot topic right now. Um, it's really important in general to know like what you're cleansing and what you're detoxing because there's so many products out there that will say like use this to, detox, but it's just not really clear on what it's detoxing, and that's super important. But in general, like as there's certainly things that you can do for gentle detoxing and cleansing per se, which is great because it's basically it's helping the liver, which is one of the most crucial organs in your body, function more optimally. So things that you can do, I love detox baths because they're safe, right? So adding the Epsom salt, adding the Amazonian clay, baking soda, and doing that a few times a week. Sweating. Sweating is huge. And that's something like most of us don't like to sweat, right? But sweating is how you are naturally detoxing. So if you can induce that throughout your week and then be sure to shower after so it's not sitting on your skin and being reabsorbed. But saunas are fantastic for that, just cleansing and getting those things out. And another big one that tends to be overlooked, and it's so simple, is just hydrating. It is so, that's why I love seeing your drinks. That's fantastic because so often we're forgetting, throughout our workday and busy life. Like, I don't know about you, but in the past, I would go through my day, it'd be 5 o'clock, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't think I've drank any water
Oh,
today.
me too. Yeah, me too.
And it makes a difference. It makes a difference with how your bowels are moving, with your mood, how your skin. I mean, there is a vast difference. People I see, I can look at them now and I'm like, you need to go drink some water. And I
Can
recognize
you tell if somebody's constipated by their face?
not
And I know
necessarily,
that sounds
no.
funny, but like,
I knew I was going to say something there, but yeah.
like, but what I mean is that I wonder, if there is are all these telltale signs that we actually have on our skin
Like they're
that
not eliminating properly is what you
they're
mean,
not
right?
Yeah.
eliminating
Yeah.
the toxins
Yeah.
properly from there.
Not specifically constipation, but I definitely can look at someone's skin and say there's a gut issue. There's some dysbiosis going on or imbalance with the bacteria. There's some leaky gut where, and when that happens, so your intestines should be nice and tight where they're keeping the toxins in so that they can push them out, right? But what happens with processed foods and like seed oils, this starts to become leaky. And then the toxins are actually pushing through what are supposed to be tight junctions. And then again, that's circulating in the bloodstream and showing up in the skin. So yeah, I definitely can look at people and say there's some gut stuff going on for sure.
How do you feel about red meat or other protein?
It's so funny you asked this, Diane, because I was a pescatarian for 15 years and I only started eating red meat like 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Isn't it delicious?
It is. Yes.
You started by going to McDonald's, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well,
It was it was the
I'm a
Big Mac
big
that changed you.
the fillets. I'm a big red meat eater, and then I did go vegan for 4 months and I ended up gaining weight and I felt terrible. My body couldn't process the beans. I am just like red meat. I feel so just red meat and protein, or sorry, red meat and vegetables. That was my diet. No, the only carbs I would get are from the vegetables, but no rice. I have an autoimmune. So I feel my best when it's just protein, vegetables, and that's it. And low glycemic fruit.
Yep, that makes complete sense. I didn't eat it for a while because it was basically an ethical thing for me. I felt bad for the animals, but I learned over time that it was not helping me. So I thought I was achieving optimal health with my diet, and I was falling short. I actually did another specialty test on myself where it looks at it's like a 9-page document, and it looks at all your micronutrients. It looks at like glutathione, and it looks at so glutathione's a very powerful antioxidant in your body. It's crucial for everything. It was looking at like my mitochondrial health and all my omegas. And so you have your scale, and normal is over here and low is over here. I was off the chart low in my B vitamins. And
Oh, okay.
when you're low in your B vitamins, I mean, that's depression, that's anxiety, that's brain fog, that's tingling in the limbs, that's muscle weakness. I mean, the
Thanks.
symptoms are so vast. And so when I saw that, I was like, you know what? I need to start eating meat again. So I buy organic, I buy, the grass fed. I'm
Yeah,
very adamant about that. Because of the quality aspect too, not just ethical, but
sure.
the quality is huge.
Yeah, like things like Butcher Box, stuff like that, where it
Mhm.
delivered right to your door. I love that stuff. And you believe in whole foods more than the supplements? Get it from food rather than the supplements?
Yeah, that's such a good question, Diane, because in a perfect world, yes. Like we would be getting all of our nutrients from our food. And I do believe that should be our primary method of getting our nutrients. Unfortunately, because of the quality of our soil, our fruits and vegetables are not the same now as they were, when our grandparents were alive. Like to eat, you know, one apple or to eat one apple back then may be equivalent to eating, and don't quote me on this, I'm just giving an example, but like
Yeah,
apples now to get the equivalent.
sure, sure.
It's just
Yeah.
not the same. And so unfortunately, we do have to supplement sometimes. I I tell women that this is what I see a lot is people will stock up on all these supplements, and it's like they have cabinets full. They have supplements coming out of their ears. They're like, I don't know what this does. I don't know.
I
Right?
don't remember. Yeah,
Yeah. It's so overwhelming. It gets to be very expensive. There is a time and a place
Super
to
expensive.
supplement. Supplement should be supplementing, right? It shouldn't be the
mm,
primary. So I am huge with nutrition. I'm huge with diet. Specifically, I love the Mediterranean diet because it's anti-inflammatory, it's low in processed foods, it prioritizes healthy fats, fruits and vegetables, and then come in with your supplements where you need help. Sometimes the body needs help. It's doing this, it's that old car, it's overwhelmed. Sometimes you need to bring in backup to help the body kick back into gear and then eventually phase out those supplements is the goal.
and how often should you test? So you're not on the supplements forever. Should you do like twice a year, or what do you suggest
That's
for
such a
looking
good
at your?
question. It depends on what you're addressing. So let's say we have you on a gut protocol. With the gut protocol, I typically like to test again in 3 months because by 3 months, we should be making pretty good progress. And if we're not, we need to go back to the drawing board and see what we're missing. Because it's like you don't want to assume that things are going a certain way and then test the patient again at a year and you're like, whoa, this other stuff is popping up and didn't go, quite how we thought. So I would say it truly depends on what you're looking at, but 3 to 6 months is probably the average for a lot of the tests.
Okay. And collagen, do we put it on topically or do we ingest it? What's the
Drink it.
best?
Yeah. So collagen and specifically I think it's hydrolyzed collagen. I looked this up before our call. Um, that is one that is going to be the best. So it's ingested. Unfortunately, when you're putting it on the skin, it has a very, if anything, localized effect. and the peptide or the collagen molecule is typically too big to be absorbed into the skin. So you're not allowing your body to have the full systemic effects of ingesting it. Okay, so there's powders you can do, there's pills that you can take, but ingestion is the best bet there, because of the availability. So it's how your body is digesting it and how it's absorbing it. And that's a big thing with supplements too, is like you can take 20 supplements every day, but is your body actually utilizing it? Is it actually a quality product? So
So it is liposomal something better to take your vitamins liposomally
it
rather than
depends what
just
it is. Like glutathione, the way that glutathione is absorbed, that's a big one that I typically put patients on the liposomal form. But I don't do that for everything. It really just depends on what it is. A vitamin C, like I said, ideally get that from the diet, but I don't necessarily put people on a liposomal for that. It's just not always necessary. Sometimes I think it's a little overkill. Um,
okay.
but yeah, with the going back to the collagen, definitely ingesting it. And then there's a lot of research behind collagen. And I know like some people can be skeptical and say, is this just like another thing that, the media is trying to, or social media is trying to throw at us? But one study in particular, it was in 2000, I think it was in 2020, and they basically took 38 studies and they looked at, and so it was a large population study, and they looked at what collagen was doing. And they found that it did prove to improve the skin elasticity, improve hydration, reduce fine lines and wrinkles. No, there's definitely research to support that. And collagen is a great supplement because not only does it affect the skin, but it's also affecting your joints and your bones and muscles, your blood vessels. So that's why I say taking it orally is preferred, because then you're getting the systemic effects throughout the whole
Right.
body.
Mm.
Right. And I have, oh, sorry, that was my cat. Did you guys hear that?
Sure it was. That's what
I
we all
actually
say.
had to
Oh, that
look
was
down
my
and make
dog.
sure it was my cat. Um, so I wondered too, when we're talking about things that we're ingesting and allergies and responses and inflammatory responses that we have. It was my cat. You can see him here. Um, I just needed proof. I have rosacea, and I'm wondering, have you found any correlations between things that people are eating or something that is reacting when they put it on their skin, or helping or not helping? I know it's a bit of a mystery still to.
Yeah, so going back with that, again, Carolyn, I would absolutely start with your gut. So I would consider putting you on it in functional medicine, what we call a 5R protocol. So it's removing what the gut has too much of. It's replacing what it needs more of. So probiotics, prebiotics. If there's parasites, if there's yeast, there's getting rid of that. It's healing your gut lining. I would 100% start there. And then
Starting with the gut.
I would really go into looking at optimizing your body's natural detox pathways. So how's the liver working? Is it sluggish? Is it, are you having buildup of toxins? There's just so much there to explore. And
Right.
then also looking at, the products that you're putting on your face, because that's the rosacea is going to be exacerbated by inflammation, right? Things that are causing
Right.
irritation.
Right.
And this is not, I have to give my disclosure. This is not medical advice. This is just education, and you should always talk to your doctor first.
We give disclosures too.
But
Yeah, a lot.
but
But I
yeah.
So
appreciate that
rosacea is
because
curable.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I heard that a lot of uh a huge allergen is dairy. Sorry, not dairy. We talked about that. Eggs. A lot of
Yeah.
people have skin conditions. If they cut out eggs, all of a sudden that will clear some stuff up. And again, I'm not a doctor. Talk to your doctor.
he's only one on TV.
I'm only one on TV, on
There's
podcasts.
there's definitely like those certain foods that tend to create more problems than others. And
Mhm.
yes, eggs can be up there, but Fortunately, with all the testing we have access to, you can test to see if your body has a sensitivity to it. The allergy testing can get to be very expensive. So typically what I do is I say, let's cut it out and see how you feel and how things are going. And um, people will do that sometimes and they'll say, oh, I cut out this food for a week and I'm not noticing a difference. No, you need to do it for like 2 to 3 months, right?
Really?
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to ask you how long. Okay, two to
Yeah,
three months.
that's
Because
interesting.
again, going back to that inflammation, it's you got to give things a chance to calm down. And just because you remove it doesn't mean the body is still not feeling the effects of having that in the system, right? So two
Okay.
to 3 months, see how you're feeling. You can learn a lot about your body in 3 months.
And that's one thing I don't do is pay attention. First of all, I'm taking so many supplements that I don't know. Everyone's like, well, how do you feel? I'm like, I don't know. I'm taking a million things. I created a bar cart, okay, with all my
And
supplements.
it's really pretty,
It
actually.
is
Can I
really
just
pretty,
say?
but I'm like, okay, I have to get to the root of the problem here. So,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
why I love testing, Diane, and you're not alone in that. I mean, that's so many people, and that was me. Like you want to feel good, you want to feel better, and you want to do what's best for your body, and you're planning ahead, for the future. But that's really why testing is so important. It's because it's
mhm,
like, what does your body actually need? And that's functional
right.
medicine, simply put. It's taking away again what the body has too much of, and then giving the body more of what it needs. That's the simplest way to put it.
Yeah, absolutely. So get your testing, people. And if you have
Yeah,
skin issues, don't just do topical. Got to take a look at your diet as well. That's so important.
One more
huge,
thing I
huge.
want to mention is our water. So this is something I will admit, people talk to me about my water quality, and I'm like, yeah, that and 20 other things, right? Like
Oh, I'm a
everything.
huge believer in that. I'm a
So
huge believer in the water.
you can actually, going back to the EWG website, you can put in your zip code and put in who supplies your water, and it will tell you how the water tests and what is coming up in the water. And then to take it a step further, it will actually recommend filtration systems for you based on your area. So
Oh,
water filtration
Really?
is it's really important to talk about toxins. I mean, they'll test water and they find various pharmaceuticals in there. They found birth control, heavy metals, you know,
hmm,
the list goes on. And I don't say that to like create fear or anxiety around these things. It's just being informed and putting it
Absolutely.
on the list. Like, okay, if we have a little extra money this month, let's look into getting a water filter. And again, not doing we can we can typically bite off more than we can chew and it becomes so overwhelming. But if you say like, okay, this month we're going to tackle the water, next month we're going to tackle the skincare, it becomes much more doable that way.
manageable. Great advice. That's
Yeah, it's
excellent. Also, drinking water. I'm really like, I'm a water snob. And do people even drink tap water anymore? In Canada, are you guys drinking tap water, Carolyn?
oh yeah. Yeah, I drink that's what I drink is tap water. Yeah.
Really?
Oh, I
But I
wonder if
think it's
those are,
Yeah.
cleaner. It's
yeah,
cleaner in Canada.
I bet it
It
is.
has to be.
I
We,
don't,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I comparatively I'm not even sure. Like maybe in some cities it's not, but yeah, I mean they do have the filtration system here and they test it all the time, so.
yeah. So here we do not touch the tap water
Really?
at all. No. So when I moved down, I was like, this is crazy. In Canada, it was cheaper because we would just drink out of the hose, drink out of the tap. And no,
yeah,
here we
Toilet?
don't, yeah,
toilet,
don't even
dog,
touch the,
dog dish.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm even picky. This is my favorite brand. But some people sent some said they found stuff in there, and I'm like, don't tell me. I don't want to. This is all I have is my water. I don't drink alcohol. I just have my water. Um,
Well, we don't know. Vodka's clear too, so
it
the
started
jury's
as
out on
water.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's actually I don't know if you guys watched the Zac Efron. He did a Netflix series
Okay,
about.
so
Yeah, he did. I forget who it was with, but they had a guy who was like the water. What do you call a wine? Not wine connoisseur. Who knows, a vintner, I don't know. But he's
Oh,
like, what do you call it? A wine, but he's like that with
som
water.
sommelier,
Sommelier.
som
Yes.
sommelier.
He's a water sommelier. Thank you. And he
I was going to
talks
say
about the different
Somalian.
mineral contents and the different brands and stuff. And he rates them like what's garbage, what's good, and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I love that.
it's a great
What
show.
about alkaline? Is the alkalinity of the water, does that have a
So, I mean, going back, this water is another thing that we can be pulled in 10 different directions with. And
right?
to what you said, Diane, you're like, they tested this water and found stuff. I think a good rule of thumb is just trying to filter your water, right? So however that looks like, if you're only able to do like the filtration system for the sink and get your water that way, I mean, I think that that probably takes priority above some of these other things, in my opinion. And
Right.
then another one is drinking your water out of glass and not plastic
Mm.
is really important because plastic is it causes hormone disruption, especially in women. So it's a xenoestrogen. It mimics estrogen in the body. So it's something that we really want to be mindful of. Diane, is that I think that one comes in glass, doesn't your water?
It's glass. Yep.
Yeah. So that's great. And a lot of water companies now are switching over to glass, which is fantastic.
Mhm. Excellent. So I add sea salt and baking soda into my water.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
That's fine. I mean, I think when we're talking about water, women can not just women and men can get um like obsessed and they're trying to drink as much water. Like you see people carrying around a gallon of water and they're like, I need to finish this by the end of the day. Unfortunately, what happens with that is if you drink too much water, you dilute your sodium. So your sodium can become too low and cause problems and make you very uncomfortable. So yes, if you're really focusing on increasing your water intake, I think it's great to add a pinch of salt, just for that electrolyte, component. I also like adding electrolytes to the water, because I mean, especially being in Arizona or if you're in a hot climate, you just tend to dehydrate more easily. And so it's like you're drinking all this water, but you're missing the potassium, the magnesium, all of that. So you can get packets that you just add to your water. There's a few brands that I like because a couple of these companies they add a ton of sugar. So it'll be like 12 grams of sugar that you're
Mm.
pouring into your water, which is obviously not great. So just
Mm.
something to be mindful of as well.
To always check for that for sure. Yeah. Yeah, that's super informative. I think that's one of the things that we don't often realize is that there's a huge connection to how, not just how we feel, but how it ends up showing through our skin and how we look, excuse me, with what we're putting in our bodies. And you can't separate the two, that it's what we ingest is going to come through and show in and how we feel. And it becomes quite obvious,
Yeah.
um,
And there's
appearance wise.
and there's hope. I tell people not to be discouraged if you've been trying, if you're switching around things and going to cleaner products. Sometimes your body can go through an adjustment period where things feel worse and they look worse because your body's been so used to a certain way of living, and you come in and start moving things around. It's like, hold on, what's going on? So
That's a great reminder.
yeah, so try not to be discouraged right away if you're not feeling great, especially like if you're starting to, do some of these detoxing, sweating, going to the sauna. If you haven't been working out, then all of a sudden you go into heavy workouts. Your body is moving toxins that are stored, in the tissues, and then that is being pushed into the bloodstream. So if you're doing that, just make sure you're hydrating a lot to help facilitate that blood flow, help with the bile flow through your liver so that way you can help remove those things properly. But yeah, certainly those things can happen.
Thoughts on alcohol?
Um, used to love it.
We all did. Yeah.
Love it. I used to love tequila.
Yeah.
Since I found out about my endometriosis, with that being an inflammatory condition and then having an autoimmune condition on top of that with celiac, um, I cut it out. I went from just doing, occasional, like, maybe once a month, once every other month. And then I was like, you know what? I don't miss it because what started to happen towards the end there is I would drink and it was, well, it was like poison. I mean, I was getting so sick after
Mm.
one or two drinks at dinner and like throwing up, you know. So not enough alcohol it's like that doesn't match, right? I didn't drink enough
Yeah.
alcohol to exhibit these symptoms. And I just felt my body rejecting it. And the next day I would feel so sluggish and just unmotivated, and I wasn't getting up for my workouts or my yoga. And so once I cut it out, I was like, I I feel better. I feel like my liver is functioning more optimally. And that's the thing is you can have your liver enzymes come up great on your blood now. That does not mean that your liver is functioning. It does. It's not necessarily picked up. You can have sluggish bile flow, and that's not picked up on a blood test. So I would tell people, I'm not going to come in and say never drink alcohol again. But just be mindful of it and be mindful of how it's making you feel. And if you have other things going on with your health, tackle those, and just say, we're not going to add one more thing that's creating inflammation. We're going to cut this out.
Right.
And again, going back to what I said earlier, bringing down those inflammation levels first.
Awesome. I've been drinking, well, I have an autoimmune, I have Hashimoto's, and I would just get so hung over. It would take like a week. Everyone would be like, one day. And then me, I was like dying. And then, yeah, my doctor's like, it's the autoimmune making it worse. So it wasn't worth it. And then I don't want to eat sugar and then just wasting my life being hungover, So we should do an episode on this though, too, and talk about it because people really had a problem with not drinking. So I'd love to talk about the socialization of not drinking it. Yeah. It really bothered people, especially my Canadian.
Oh, there's other people. Yeah, exactly.
They're going to take my citizenship away.
Yeah.
We're not as drinkers.
Oh, sorry. What were you saying, Carolyn?
No,
we're joking.
I was coughing. I was trying not to cough.
It's a huge social aspect, Diane. And it's like, I feel like when, friends are getting together and they're drinking it and you're not, it's like, what's wrong? Are you not having a good time? Like, you want to do that together, right?
Yeah. And I would tell them, well, no, I get too hungover. So then it became, well, try this. Don't mix, mix soda. Just have it straight. I'm like, no, I feel terrible. And I think it made them feel bad that they were drinking. I'm like, I don't judge if you do. Like, have fun,
Yeah.
But just me health wise, it just was not worth it. So I feel so much better that
and you're a riot even without it, Diane. I just have to say that.
Well, thanks. My friends
you're
used to
damn
say,
fun.
Well, I thought I was boring there for a while because people were like, hey, it's my birthday. Could you drink? Could you drink? Could that be my gift?
Drink for me. It's my gift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no. But you have to learn, you have to learn to have fun and, gets us out of our shell. And for those that are shy or you're just, used to having a little bit of a buzz, it makes you a little bit more outgoing. So you kind of have to relearn your whole social.
Yeah.
First, to shut people up, I was like, I'm going to call my sponsor. Leave me alone. I'm kidding. I don't have a sponsor. It's a medical choice, but that's fine if you do. Congratulations. Yeah. But it was crazy, the pressure, for sure.
I love a good mocktail. I mean, sometimes it's fun just to sip on something. If your friends are drinking or your significant other is, it's like, get yourself a nice mocktail, get you something fancy.
Just something special.
Yeah.
Instead of plain water, I have sparkling water.
Come on, you wild one.
I know. Pretty crazy.
Classy.
Yeah. Settle down.
Yeah.
Well, Burgess, anything you want to add?
No.
How can we contact you? How can we contact you?
So I have a website. It's Origo, ORIGOFM.com. And there is a contact me form on there that you can use. Or you can go to my Instagram. It's functionalmed_Burgess. If you send me a message on there, if you do the contact form on the website, that all goes directly to me. I'll reach out to you personally.
We so appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Till next time, keep being your badass selves.